So Peter asks here, so you don't believe in a post-capitalist world, maybe the end of money? Oh boy. Well, that's a whole different topic, isn't it?
No, I think it's the it's so funny. The something like Facebook Marketplace shows up, right?
Hmm.
And Facebook Marketplace, what does it do, or Craigslist or whatever, any of these networking systems, and what it does is that it allows you to take something that you had already, that you didn't know it had any value, and then figure out what the value for that thing is, eBay and all that sort of thing.
Right.
And so, I have a bookshelf over here, and I have 100 books on the shelf. I don't know what anyone would buy these for. I know what my cost is. I know when I bought them. I don't know how they depreciate. I don't know how they fare with it. I have no idea. I
Hmm.
could have a specialty book on the shelf that's worth $1,000 because it's some rare edition that I don't even know of. To be able to, and I could post each book on Facebook Marketplace or where have you, and figure out what people might want to pay for this book. But to be able to take a picture of it, feed that to an AI system that then extrapolates what are all the different books, goes out and finds out what other people would want to pay for that, and then let me know, hey, your bookshelf has a value of $3,227. Sell these 5 books for a profit. You haven't touched them in the last 5 years. That to me is like, oh my god. We're not at the end of money. We're at there's all kinds of value that has not been unlocked, that technology allows us to unlock more and more of as become more efficient. Now,
Right.
whether that has to do with capitalism, like I don't really care about the isms of the world, because it's always a mix of different things. But what seems to be for sure is that with the advent of AI and the technology of blockchain and the development of the communication systems that we have been developing over the last 100 years, we clearly haven't unlocked all the value that's possible on the planet. I mean, I would argue it's infinite, but we haven't unlocked it, and so there's way more runway ahead of us than there is behind us,
Yeah.
from my
This
perspective.
is this is what I would like squarely define as informational edge, right? Your ability to connect the dots on information that people aren't really paying attention to at the moment or extracting value from. Now's the opportunity for it, because obviously in a year from now we're all going to be using LLMs to analyze companies. Like it's inevitable. But I definitely see, like, maybe to your point, to kind of expand on it, have you ever heard of exploding topics?
No.
I'll share my screen here, or maybe you can help me get it on the screen here.
Yeah. 1 second.
This is a site that I saw or heard about a long time ago. That I think they have an email newsletter that you can join. Oh, like here, it's like trying to force me in. But this is constantly paying attention to keyword phrases that are suddenly growing exponentially.
Oh my
And
god.
it starts to, hopefully create some inspiration, especially for entrepreneurs or small business owners or marketers, to figure out what people are talking about and are suddenly significantly interested in. The list just goes on, and of course the topics are all over the place. But I'm imagining that being able to observe consumer discussions or the broad discussions that exist on the internet could start to point to different aspects of different brands or companies in the same way here, where if you start seeing exponential growth on a particular part or nuance of how a product is used, or something that's starting to take off as a trend. The first thing that comes to mind is like Beanie Babies, right? Like if we suddenly started to notice that Beanie Babies were becoming a bigger conversation, we could tie that to the parent company and start to make a bet that maybe the future earnings of that company are going to increase because the trend is starting to pick up, right? So I see these types of opportunities being connected to this idea of using LLMs to observe conversations and look for breakouts like this.
This is so cool. That is exactly the type of thing that I would want. Ah, and with I'm just waiting for the crypto project that ties in, or crypto projects that tie into these systems that allow the provider of the data to get a small amount of value accrued, so that every time that information is accessed by the LLMs, that there's a reason for people to put that information together, as opposed to just um, getting their websites scraped, and then providing that information to others. Which, as a side note, I find it very funny that these companies are like Reddit and Twitter or whatever. They're like, people are accessing our data, they're scraping our data, and they're using it for free in their LLMs. It's like, excuse me, I'm the user. That's my data that you
Yeah.
took. All right. So please do not be complaining. It's my money. Every one of you guys are screwing me over. So let's just go ahead and give them the information anyway.
What if you had a choice though, as an end user, as to whether or not your conversation could be used by LLMs to scrape and be and used for commercial use? Would you opt in or opt out?
Well, what short answer 100% I would opt in. I use every part of me for everything.
Okay, so you don't
Um,
mind being the product then, because that's what we are, right? We're the product as
well,
participants on these platforms.
it comes from my fundamental perspective that I believe that we live in a holographic universe and that every part of the universe contains the information for every other part. So I ultimately imagine a period of time where no one's gonna have to ask permission for anything because you can just mine every any component of the universe to get the information for all of it. Which is why, like, or in a different way of saying it, on
That
the
was
All In
mind blowing.
podcast recently, they were talking about, hey, maybe just assume that everything that you type and write and say and text to anybody is going to be shown to the open public, Ashley Madison style, and just behave accordingly. And
Right.
so that's just how I behave. I just go, okay, I mean,
Yeah, the latter
everything's
of
gonna be
those twos
available.
is how I think. It's like don't do anything that you're not afraid would be published at the in on a news site tomorrow morning, right? Like
That's right.
those choices I think are important. And to your point, we're every time we use these tools or write online, that becomes cataloged by all kinds of third parties. So there's no real way to get away from ever having your information disseminated widely and broadly and used for some other purposes. Like we already know that there's a number of like Twitter search engines out there that are trying to index all the historical tweets that have been sent, so that if you try to delete them, it never gets deleted. Like the internet never forgets, right? So
I worked for I did a project once with an agency where we had to provide SEO guidelines for the Library of Congress because they wanted to index all the tweets. They just want to save all the tweets, and this was 8 years ago.
mm,
And I was like, oh, I better. Nothing I say is private anymore. It's going to be in the Library of Congress. Oh my God, forget that.
yep.
Jiminy Cricket.